coming up on the Purim holiday here in Israel and around the Jewish world. It's Friday to Saturday. And, well, here in Israel, kids in school already celebrate it. There's already porn parties happening and stuff, even though it's not quite the day. People like to extend the duration of this holiday because it's just so much fun. And so there are a lot of events around it. People go to school on different days wearing different costumes or different themes and things like that. And today's kind of the day when a lot of them get fully decked out in their gear, and then on Friday as well. And there's a lot of like little parades around the country in a bunch of towns. You have like a party parade, often called the Ad Lo Yada, which means it's a borrowed from the Hebrew expression, or from it's Hebrew for until you don't know, or right, which is part of the theme of the whole holiday, which you're supposed to celebrate until you can't tell the difference between good and bad, basically. But like celebrate in the form of our historical and cultural reasons for that type of celebration. Right? It's when the Jews celebrated their victory, or when the Jews had a victory over the evil king of Persia, who wanted to do away with them. And they were saved by Esther and very many fortunate events. And anyway, so Israel on Purim is quite a celebratory spectacle. I highly recommend, if you ever visit Israel, that you do it around the time of Purim. That is an absolutely fun time, usually, right? And yes, there have been, unfortunately, even on Purim, tragic terrorist attacks who did awful things on Purim because, hey, targeting innocent children on purpose, yeah, that's right in their playbook, the terrorists who attack us constantly. But in the lighter side of that, the vast overwhelming majority of the celebrations, go off without a hitch, and they're fun. And it is an absolutely wonderful time to be in Israel, in my opinion. Let's go walk by those yellow flowers, shall we? Why not? While they're still blooming. See this little flower right here? It's not a microphone. Or maybe it is. Maybe it's my secret new flower mic. It just happens to look like all of these. Look at my wall of mics right here. Look at that. Big old wall of mics. Yes. And I know you're going to tell me it's a weed. Yeah, it's a weed that grows a beautiful little flower. How can you not like that? How can you not like such a thing? It's amazing. So anyway, Purim, Israel, and power. Now, what power is it that I want to speak about? Well, it just so happens that throughout history, and I mentioned this in a previous video, Israel has had to demonstrate its power because people attacked it around the time of Purim. And this has happened in the not very distant past. In fact, in the really not distant past. And it's happened throughout the ages, since the time of the original Purim. In fact, you might argue. Right? It has been a continual, repetitive theme that around March, April, sometime around there's going to be somebody with a bad attitude, who for whatever reason hates Israel, and for whatever reason decides this is a time to attack the Jews. And so they take it upon themselves to do something insane and stupid and evil like that. We've seen this happen time and again throughout history, right? Even in recent years and decades. I can tell you of many such events. If you are, even if you just watch the news, political news, and over the past 20 years, you've watched news happening in the Middle East, like in major, like headline news stories. There are major headline events that frequently involve either the Iranian regime or one of their proxies or some other crazy sect that has taken it upon themselves to attack Israel around the time of Purim. This has been an ongoing theme. And it's as if they willfully are ignorant of what they know. And you'd think in Iran, of all places, they would know that the best. After all, it was their ancestors, the Persian Empire, that lost the big fight, if you will, right, against the Jews. It tried to wipe out the Jews and ended up losing in their attempt. So you'd think they would have internalized that story as a lesson of, hey, maybe don't mess with these people, and definitely not around that time of year when they got all that energy flowing, all that Purim party energy flowing. What is that Purim party energy anyway? Well, after the fact of the first event of Purim, upon which the tradition and holiday is based, they've developed a very strong cultural theme, one which is to this day applied and stated, repeated endlessly throughout the ages by the Jewish people. And what is that theme? What is that saying? You've probably heard me say it many times in videos that I talk about Israel and holidays. Right? It's literally probably the most famous saying about Jewish holidays that there is. Right? What is the basis of all Jewish holidays? They tried to kill us. We won. Let's eat. Right? That's the basis of Jewish holidays for the most part. They tried to kill us. We won. Let's eat. Right? It's true on Purim. It's true on Hanukkah. It's true on Passover. It's true on so many holidays that we have throughout the year. And why? Well, because we are continually being assaulted by our enemies. It doesn't matter what age we're talking about. It doesn't matter where we are living at the time. The Jews continually have enemies. And people who are anti-Semites will say, well, don't you think that it's very telling that you are always a hated people? Why are you always so hated? Maybe there's something that's hateful about you. Maybe you deserve to be hated. Yeah, or maybe you're just an ignorant schmuck and you're just a hateful person and you're just an evil person who just wants to scapegoat a group that has historically been the scapegoat of most cultures on the world. That's also the case. Isn't it also telling that most of the groups, pretty much all of them now, except for the ones currently around, but all the groups that have hated us historically and have attempted to annihilate us historically, they're gone. We're still here. Ancient Greeks, gone. Ancient Egyptians, gone. Ancient Romans, gone. Ottomans, gone. And on and on and on. I can go through like thousands of years of examples of people gone, right? Crusaders, gone. mean, there's no shortage of people who tried to kill whatever remnant of Jews there were in the Holy Land during the 1800-year period when there were no Jews here, 1900 years, whatever period when there were no Jews here. But there were, but very few, right? Compared to the amount we had when we had proper kingdoms here before, and now that we have a state here, even more, right? But during that 1800-year period, there were Jews here, but a very small number, relatively. And even then, people would come here with bloodlust dreams and fever dreams, hoping to kill Jews. You just think about how demented you have to be. You live in a world where you don't have modern telecommunications, you don't have modern transportation, you have none of that. You gruel and strive, and, you know, after a grueling voyage, you get to Israel. Finally, right, the Holy Land, what they would call it. And the first thing you want to do is just kill Jews. What? It's insane. That's how it was during the times of the Crusades, right? The Crusaders came here to slaughter and kill as many Jews and non-Christians as they could. That would include the Muslims, the Moors, whatever, or convert them, right? And the Muslims did the same thing. The ones that came here, right? They wanted to kill or convert as many people as possible, right? Thankfully, when this state was reestablished as a state in 1948, Israel did not have the same bloodlust, vengeance, dreams. And we said, no, if you live here and you choose to abide by the laws and live here in peace, you live by the same laws we live by, no different, you'll have the same rights as we do, same protections as we do, everything the same as us. The only difference is that you don't have your relatives don't have the right of return, because we want to keep this a Jewish state, meaning a state for the Jews, a homeland for the Jews. So we want to have a demographically majority Jewish population. And we realized that if we give the Arabs that chose to leave, they chose to leave because they were told to leave by their own leaders in a disgusting act of violence. They were told, leave so we can kill all the Jews and you can come back and take all their stuff. That's literally what made 700,000 Arabs choose to leave the land that is Israel in 1948. Those that chose to stay enjoy the same rights as any other Jew that lives here. Not only that, they actually enjoy more rights, because yes, they don't have the right of return, but you know what else they don't have? They don't have mandatory military service. Not that I would expect them to, because they are, after all, Muslims. Arabs, in any case, they can be Christian Arab, but we still don't require them. We don't require Christians, we don't require Druze, and we don't require Bedouins to serve in the army. And yet a number of them choose to. They volunteer to serve. You know why? Because they're patriots. They love Israel. They want to serve. Right? For them, it's a matter of pride to serve the country that has given them a home, and that has given them an education, and that's given them medicine and healthcare, and that's given them more rights than they've ever enjoyed under any Arab leader, no matter who you can name. No matter who you can name, including the Arab Emirates, including, all of Dubai and all the United Arab Emirates, which is, I know it's different because thankfully they don't like Hamas and they don't like all this extremism, terrorism. The Emirate states do not like this extremist, nationalistic Hamas crap. I give them credit for that. But even there, they are not democracies. Don't kid yourself in thinking that they are, because they're not. Those states are emirates. Those states definitely would be part of an Islamic caliphate if such a thing were to ever be established. They absolutely 100% would. They would not cry if there would be no Israel. As much as we have peace with the UAE and Oman, the fact is that if we were to ever lose a war here in Israel and be annihilated, or if we were just to voluntarily close up shop and leave for some reason, we tried this whole thing at home, and we don't want to have a homeland. Let's just move to some other place, right? Those people in the Emirates, in the Gulf of Arabia, as much as they may be our friends right now, they would be very not unhappy if there was an Islamic caliphate here. Like, seriously, that's not a joke. It's 100% true. And how do I do that? Well, you can ask them. You can ask them. They'll tell you in Qatar. They'll tell you, they don't have peace with Israel, but they negotiate. They moderate the negotiations between Israel and Hamas, or Hamas, as some Arabs like to say. Hamas. Why isn't it just Hamas? That's their name. But anyway, they would not hesitate to live in a land without Jews, to live in a region without Jews. They wouldn't miss us for a whit of a second, like at all. And yet here we are, celebrating another year, another Purim holiday, another festivity of they tried to kill us, we won, let's eat. Hello to my friend with the Japanese characters as a name, thumbs up to you. I don't read Japanese, so I don't know what your name is, or I don't know what you wrote, but hello. We say shalom in Israel, or salam. The Muslims who speak, or people who speak Arabic will often say salam. But salam does not mean what you think it means. People say, oh, shalom means hello, goodbye, and peace. It also means whole, like W-H-O-L-E. But salam does not mean hello, goodbye, and peace, or whole. In fact, not at all, right? In fact, salam means surrender. That's their vision of peace in the Islamic world. Their vision of peace means you surrender unto God. I'm not a fan of surrendering unto anyone, let alone God. Especially not for the purpose of my entire life. And I understand it's a spiritual message. You surrender yourself to God in order to blah, blah, blah. Thanks. That's not my religion. You can choose to have that as yours if you want. That ain't for me to surrender unto some voodoo daddy up in the sky who wants your eternal prayers and he wants your eternal praise, starting with while you're suffering through life, in order to go to heaven and praise him eternally there. Not my thing. Yes, I recognize it's Japanese, and hello to you. That's really cool. Welcome. Would love to visit Japan and hang out in cool places there. There are many amazing places in Japan I'd love to visit. Very specific places that are not probably what most people would like to visit, but they are places I would like to visit. Yeah, so anyway, guys, that's kind of, I've been on a bit of a spiel, a bit of a little meandering thoughts, but I wanted to let you know about Purim, why it's such an awesome holiday, why it is that Jewish people in Israel and around the world love to dress up in fun costumes and get a little bit inebriated, or a lot inebriated, on and around Purim with whatever herbs or spirits they might happen to be using. It's because of long traditions and cultures that, again, date back a very long time and are still highly relevant today. And I hope we can get to a place at some point in the future where all of those terrible things we've had to live through will literally just be memories and no longer real and present dangers in our lives. But until then, we celebrate on Purim and around Purim to remember and commemorate all of the people who have struggled before us just to be who they are, in order to honor them and to keep their spirit alive, especially their spirit of loving life, seeking to have a life of peace and prosperity and health and happiness in whatever land they happen to live in, including their ancestral homeland, Israel. Which normally you'd think, what do you mean including? Shouldn't you say including other lands that they might live in that aren't their ancestral homeland? Yes, but for nearly 2,000 years, Jews had to live in fact, more than 2,000 years, if you include the time that we were exiled already before by the Greeks and by the Babylonians. So we are a wandering people, and we are glad to have a home again after so long. And so for us, it's normal to think wherever you live, in whatever country you happen to be in, including your homeland. For most people, your homeland would be the first thing. We hope that you have happiness wherever you live, in whatever country you're from, or if you happen to live somewhere else. But as Jews, our normative standard distribution of existence has always been outside of Israel. Not by our choice, but forcibly. And now that we have the freedom to live in Israel again, it's whether you're religious or not, it's a blessing. I don't know what you want to call it if you're not religious, but it's like a blessing. It's a good, it's a wonderful thing. You're Japanese. Hey, yes, you are Japanese. I can tell that you're Japanese. That's awesome, dude. I took some Japanese a long time ago. It was so difficult for me. I really tried. I really, really tried, but it was very, very difficult. It's amazing. It's such an amazing language, but I did not get the hang of it. I tried. I learned a little bit, but anyway. So there you go. I hope you guys have learned something interesting. And wherever you're from around the world, I hope you have a blessed day and a blessed life. And I hope that if you found this content useful at all, that you give me the old subscribe and like and all that stuff that the YouTubes like for you to do to get you to help me get this message out to other people. Because I talk about this kind of stuff. I talk about all kinds of stuff, crypto, market, trading, marketing, stuff like that. But I also talk about cultural affairs and current events, things like that. And yes, there you go. Today we spoke a little bit about Purim, Israel, power, and yeah, maybe I'll get into a slightly heavier topic next time. We'll see. But for now, I think it's been heavy enough and fun. Remember, Purim, party time. Have fun, folks. See you. Shalom.